I'd like to call the meeting to order. If you could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silent prayer. Remain standing for a moment of silent prayer. The first item on the agenda, public comments. Are there any public comments? Seeing none, we'll go to the consent agenda. And we agreed in the board meeting.
Table the minutes. So move the
Motion.
consent agenda with the understanding that we're going to table the meeting minutes.
Support.
Motion by Rowe, supported by Eldridge, to table the minutes of February 7th work session and regular meeting and approve statements and checks and the treasurer's report. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Winters, general legal update.
Madam Chair, I know during the work session you touched on some of the items that I had written down as being part of the attorney update. I would like to start off by at least updating the board that as my files continue to get diaried on every so often, I talk with Treasurer Eldridge. He may have some more updates, but I think it's really, once again, been highlighted by recent events, the need to really kind of accelerate the security enhancements for the Township Civic Center and the 14B District Court. All of us tragically witnessed the shootings that occurred in Michigan State last week, and then those shootings were followed, and the killings were followed by 11 persons being shot in Memphis, 6 persons being killed in Mississippi. So it's happening in churches, synagogues, restaurants, schools, universities. And I know that I had written a letter asking the architect for a status update regarding the security enhancements, and he did respond to me. And talking with Stan earlier today, I know that he's been in contact with them too. I just at least wanted to bring it forward because, again, I think that the security is a high priority for all those who work here at the court, work here at the township, the employees who are here, and as well as those who come into the township to have their business conducted, be it paying water, paying the property tax, or taking out permits. So again, I just want to again highlight the urgency of having those plans pinned to paper, so to speak, because they're the architects. Well, all we can do is hopefully get those drawings and see where we can go. Also, the township's parks are a high priority, and again, we're trying to make sure that Loomfeather Point Park is open this coming spring. It's been a journey to have all those improvements made to Loomfeather. That's the park, of course, over on Grove Road. And given some of the vandalism that occurred at Loomfeather Point Park this last 2-3 weeks, with the railings being dug up and thrown into Ford Lake, with the deck being used for a bonfire, causing damage down there, I think the time has also come to really, for the Township Board to consider installing security cameras in some of our public places, parks. You're not trying to have a atmosphere where, but in this day and age, the security cameras are extremely expected. They are very helpful. In fact, that person that was involved in the killings in Michigan State was shown within a matter of minutes as to who the suspect was based upon the security footage camera there in East Lansing. So again, I would encourage you at least take a look at that, because we've invested too much time and money and resources into these parks to have those parks vandalized. On a different note, we have a lot of money going into the replacement of the roofs at the Parks and Grounds. That's the building behind us over here, as well as the community center. Those are very significant contracts that are going to be carried out this coming next 30 days. And that was Michael Searnan took over from Mike Hoffmeister and has done a tremendous job in getting those contracts finalized. Clerk Rowe has signed all the documents, all the bonds and insurance are in place, and so we're ready to proceed this week. We'd also have the ongoing issue at the community center. That's where the flood occurred not flood, but the water line froze during that last week of the year when it was very, very cold. Township had closed for the Christmas, New Year's break, and the water ran pretty much unabated for 4 days, and we're still trying to get our hands around getting that cleaned out, remediated, make sure everything's been dried out so we can obtain a quote that can then be put out to bid to get those repairs, because it's imperative to get the pro shop going for the golf season, as well as making sure our seniors get their dance floor and other rooms back into operation for the year. Right now, they've had to be relocated because of the damage that's been sustained to the 200 hallway, which, again, was the old Foster School. The last item is one we talked about during the work session. It's one that I guess the full-time officials are going to deal with, and it has to do with, again, the issue that I discussed at the last board meeting. It has to do with the contract that was entered into between the Washtenaw County government and the Supreme Felons, putting aside the issue about the $1.2 million. The issue that I focused in on was the portion of the contract in which the Washtenaw County government agreed that the Supreme Felons could establish a patrol and dispatch system patrol in 4 neighborhoods of 48197, 48198. I don't know which ones those have been supposed to have been identified. I think the township and the residents in the neighborhoods have a right to know. And I say that because when the issue came up as to whether or not the township was going to have license plate readers installed, the sheriff came to the township and said, we want the township's input on whether or not you want license plate readers to be installed. That's fine. You got the input. So at the same time, the township has a right to expect to have the same input when it comes to having a patrol dispatch system operating under the auspices of as a subrecipient of a contract with the county in regards to patrol and dispatch. You have a right to at least be consulted on that in that regard. I do know that township supervisors reached out to Greg Dill and other people at the county level, so is Heather Rowe, asking for a meeting. There seems to be at least some lack of clarity, from my understanding, as to whether or not who knew what was in the contract, number one, who has control over this contract, number two. It's kind of, the contracts are somewhat inextricably linked together. When I say the contracts, the one with the county and the one the township has with the sheriff's department, because the director of community engagement is in fact the person who oversees the individual who actually is the signatory to the Supreme Felons contract with the county. So you can't separate the two. They're linked together. We just need some clarity as to who is doing what. I mentioned before, there's issues from my standpoint as the attorney, issues of liability. There's issues in regards to exactly is this supposed to be some type of a complementary service that is supposed to go hand in hand with the sheriff's department? I do know that from being the township attorney for many, many years, I do know there are many, many situations in which the sheriff's department they're conducting surveillance, they're conducting undercover, covert type of operations. I don't know how that would or would not affect this situation. There's a lot of unanswered questions. And I guess the biggest question I would have is why was the township not involved in the conversation? If you want to be transparent, which they all say they want to be, if you want to be inclusive, which they all say they want to be, if you want to actually make sure you have our input like you did on the LPRs, then you have a right to sit there at the table and have those questions asked in a respectful manner and to receive an answer. What you do with that information may be something totally different, but you can't do anything unless you know what is going on. And I know there's too many neighborhood watch groups out here that are constantly wanting to do something similar to this over the years. We've discouraged that because we can't, authorize or sanction activities that are really the functions of the Washtenaw County Sheriff's Department. So I say that again because I think time is of the essence. It's been 2 months since those contracts were entered into at the county board level, and I don't think that the township wants to go into the springtime without having those questions answered. So I stand ready to be of assistance in that meeting if requested. I know the township has requested that meeting be had with the township's full-time officials, and I have no reason to invite myself to a meeting. I'm just putting out there that those questions need to be asked and answered as soon as possible. So that's my report for the evening. I know one other thing is, I guess, is in regards to that party store, In-N-Out Party Store on 1100 Share. That's been a one that we've had a lot of issues with. We objected to the license transfer when that party store was sold until such time as that party store was brought into full compliance with the township zoning. And we did receive a very detailed report as to what requires the need for that to be brought into compliance. And the attorney representing the party store has written correspondence saying they're going to do just that. Well, the proof is in the pudding, so to speak, and so I'll know more once I get the detailed plan, but that's the party store. If you go by there, for example, they have the windows totally blocked. You can't even see what's going on inside there. And there's been other issues having to do with safety, security. I think there's been times over the years we've known there's been drug activity that's been condoned by, at least look the other way in regards to what's going on over there. And so the children of the neighborhood and the parents of the neighborhood, anyone who has wants to walk to that party store needs to be able to do so in a safe and courteous manner. And they're either going to bring that store into compliance, or we're going to continue to object to that license transfer, because right now they only have a conditional license, and that's going to expire this coming May. So those issues are not addressed promptly, then I'll continue to object to that license transfer.
Thank you. Any questions or comments for Mr. Winter's report? Did you say you heard from Greg Dill for a meeting?
Yeah, Madam Chair, I reached out both to Sheriff Clayton and County Administrator Greg Dill. Greg Dill did respond today to me just saying, please let me know when the meeting is and I'll make myself available. We did hear back once just from Sheriff Clayton's staff saying only to direct communication through her, which of course I've been compliant in doing so, but have not heard back from her or Sheriff Clayton on a date that they would be available to meet. And of course, when I hear, I will certainly keep the board appraised of when that happens.
Okay. So hopefully before the next meeting, we'll be able to meet. The first item on the agenda is request to approve the proposal from OHM for the construction services for the Hewitt Road Fire Station parking lot improvements in the amount of $30,800, which is budgeted.
So move.
Support.
Motion Rowe, support Eldridge. Discussion? So last year, we authorized the contractor and awarded the bid. This allows the engineering services that oversees the project for the township. This is a Hewitt Road Fire Station. We have a motion support. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The next item is a request to create and fill a senior planner position.
So moved.
Support.
Motion Eldridge, support Rowe, to fill the senior planner position. Is there questions and comment? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The next item is a request to submit the 2023 CDBG application for continued allocation for funds for the Apple Ridge Park area improvements.
So moved.
Support.
Motion Eldridge, support Hunter.
Thank you.
We all support this. So just for a quick overview, in the past, we've allocated funds for Apple Ridge Park, where actually it originally went to Washtenaw Avenue, and because Washtenaw Avenue sidewalks have now part of an MDOT larger project, it was suggested that we move the funds to another area that we can use them. We've often used them in parks. So these are county dollars that come from the federal government down to the county, and we get a certain amount every year. And Heather is a representative on this board, and I am the alternate. So we have plans to submit the application for the funds to go for Apple Ridge Park for a review of the existing playground structure and improvements. They have a walking trail there as well, and doing the sidewalk and ADA approaches, so we can also have the bus stop and a shelter. As you know, there was a substantial increase in a millage that comes in 2024 for AAATA, and we're trying to get prepared so people can have shelters in place and work with AAATA to see about getting them located before the bus services ramps up and our taxes ramp up as well in 2024. So this is a bigger area than just the park, but it's going to really make Ridge Road. Last board meeting, we authorized sidewalk estimates, and as well as doing streetlights. We have an estimate that we're bringing back for streetlights on Ridge Road from the township line south to Michigan Avenue, so that people can walk and have access to. That's the number one thing that people have always said, whether we do the Parks and Recreation Master Plan or the Planning Master Plan, they always want a walkable community and they want it lit. So, and also cameras, Mr. Winters is also, safety and security is part of it. So this starts the process. We'll submit it and have to go out to bid, and the amount is $238,000 or $300.
This year's allocation is $154,000. Oh, sorry, I just lost my packet.
We also have, Heather's looking for that. We have a farmer's, black farmer, Willow Run Acres, that's there, and he has put up several beds, raised beds for gardens and to lease them out to residents. And he has a big plan on what he's going to do to have a signage for the Underground Railroad and do a lot of historical information at that park as well.
Madam Chair, so this year's allocation is $154,688, and the prior year's allocations for this plan were $335,200, bringing the total to $489,888. So again, just to re-explain that, is that our prior year's funds from CDBGs, we have allocated them. If you're a community that receives more than $20,000, you're able to sort of like group it together for 5 years. And that way, this year, we're expanding the scope of the project to include some of the walkways that Supervisor Stumbo explained, but also understanding, that labor costs and construction costs are a little bit more. So it seemed like a prudent thing to do to just reallocate it again back to Apple Ridge Park.
Questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And everything will come back to the board. So this authorizes us submitting the application, but all the bids and everything and the design, everything comes back to the board. Number 4 is a resolution 2023-02, which is authorizing the Water Resource Commissioner to exceed the statutory spending and assessment limit of $5,000 per year for the amount of maintenance and repair for Signs Extension Drain in the amount of $35,000, which is budgeted. Clerk Rowe?
I have Resolution 2023-02, a resolution authorizing the Water Resources Commissioner to exceed the statutory spending and the assessment limit of $5,000 per year to the maintenance and repair of Signs Extension Drain. Whereas the Signs Extension Drain is a drain located in the municipalities of Charter Township of Ypsilanti and Superior Charter Township, which drain was constructed in accordance with the Drain Code of 1956, and whereas the Water Resources Commissioner is entrusted with the responsibility of ensuring proper maintenance and repair areas are made to said drain, and whereas the Water Resources Commissioner, pursuant to statute, has inspected the drain, which inspection revealed that repair work is necessary, inasmuch as said inspection identified significant overgrowth, debris, and obstruction in need of removal. Project will consist of selective clearing on one side, debris and obstruction removal, and SESC measures for slope protection and stabilization. And whereas the Water Resources Commissioner of Washtenaw County has estimated that the repair of the drain will be approximately $30,000, and whereas pursuant to the Drain Code of 1956, the Water Resources Commissioner cannot exceed the statutory spending limit of $5,000 for the maintenance and repair of the drain unless approved by a resolution of the Township Board. And whereas the Water Resources Commissioner has requested the Township Board to pass such resolution authorizing the Office of the Water Resources Commissioner to exceed the statutory spending limit allowed in the Signs Drain, Extension Drain, to wit, $5,000 per year, so as to allow repair of said drain. Now therefore it be resolved that the Charter Township of Ypsilanti Board of Trustees for the municipality of the Charter Township of Ypsilanti hereby approved and authorizes the Office of the Water Resources Commissioner to exceed the statutory spending limit of $5,000 per year for the repair of Signs Extension Drain in the exceeded amount of $35,000. I would so move Resolution 2023-02.
Motion Rose, support Swanson. Is there discussion? Heather has added the map. So it's the furthest east part, and it's Apple Ridge area, just that first part, and then it goes east into Wayne County, and there's a little bit of Superior Township as well. So everyone will share in the cost of doing the maintenance. If it's over $5,000, they have to come to the Township Board and get authorization to exceed that $5,000 amount. So in the work session, Trustee Swanson brought up the flooding that was on the streets. And the first street, it was the first street in there and this might help with that as well, because the more we can get the drains flowing and not coming out of the storm drains onto the road, the better it is. And they also cleaned it out as well. So hopefully this will help with that as well. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The next item is a request appointment of the Police Services Committee to verify the actual costs of our police service unit, which is a contract with Washtenaw County and Washtenaw County Sheriff's Department. The recommended committee members are the chair, Trustee John Newman, Trustee Ryan Hunter, and Treasurer Stan Eldridge, who is a former retired police officer. And the staff members would be the accounting director, the attorney, legal counsel Doug Winters, as well as a deputy supervisor, Elizabeth Kuehler, that will finish up the committee to help really dive into the numbers on this.
So move.
We have a motion? Support. Motion by Rose, support by Hunter to approve the committee. Questions or comments?
Hi, thanks. I think this is low. But either way, Monica Ross Williams, 2150 Chevrolet Street. I am glad to see this on the agenda for multiple reasons. If I have it correct, Clerk Rowe has said that, number one, I think she asked for a meeting and that she was told that she could only go through a certain person. I don't know what that means, kind of, but I do know that as a township, we have been down the number of deputies for many years. We don't have our full allocation. It has been various excuses in regards to why it hasn't been done. And I believe that at this point in time, that has to do with, honestly, the administration of the Sheriff's Department. And we as a township pay, well, I believe it's over $7 million to have our police services. It's not the deputies. The deputies do the job that they can. But I do believe that the contract has to be looked at in the case of what's going on with the administration, particularly. And are we, as Ypsilanti Township residents, receiving the services that we are paying for? I have a lot of questions about that for various reasons, including just the FTEs. That was a problem when I was on the board in 2016 through 2020. And I'm just going to say like this. I believe that the job of law enforcement is a job of Malachi trained and operated deputies and no one else. So I'm glad to see this, and I really, really hope that that committee dives into everything as related to the contract. The one question and caveat I would have, and no, I am not asking for this for me at all, is there any way that, a resident or two could just basically give some insight to the committee, and I am not asking for that for myself. I want to make that clear.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments regarding that?
Tyrone Bridges, Ypsilanti Township resident. I also echo the sentiments of Ms. Ross about having one or possibly two Ypsilanti Township residents on the committee to even show a level of transparent by this board in also looking into this, because this is taxpayers' money. You guys are the board. You guys work for us. That's all I want to say.
Thank you. Any other comments? Hearing none, we have a motion in support. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 6 is request to approve the second amendment to the existing agreement with the Community Publishing and Marketing for the resident mailer services in the amount of $19,000, which is budgeted.
So move.
Motion Rowe,
Support Peterson.
support Peterson. Questions or comment? This is for the recreation brochure that goes out quarterly. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 7 is the request to approve the renewal of the Michigan Indigent Defense Commission for the years of 2022 and 2023 as budgeted.
So move.
Support.
Madam Chair, I know we talked about this in the work session, but just with the understanding that Article 5 will have that additional language that Attorney Winters will send to Magistrate Nelson.
The amount for 2022 and 2023, it runs a different year than our fiscal year, but 2022, it was $37,775, and 2023 state fiscal year is $41,435. Any questions or comments?
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Just want to say that I personally support this. I think this is a wonderful proposal. And we learned earlier in a work session that some of these funds will help folks who are in the early stages of their legal journey in terms of the arraignment, where they will be recipients of good counsel and make wise choices. So I just wanted to put that on the record that this is a wonderful thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Hunter. We have a motion and support. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The next item is to request to approve the trash can purchase for our parks in the amount of $18,998, which is budgeted.
So moved.
Motion Eldridge? Support Swanson? Support Swanson to approve purchasing trash cans for our park. Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Budget number 2, Clerk Rowe.
I have a motion to amend the 2023 budget, budget amendment number 2. I would move to increase the general fund budget by, $254,931 to $12,870,975 and approve the line item changes as outlined.
We have a motion.
Support.
There's a support. The reason for the large amendment is because Washtenaw County drains at large. We have an asset management program that we do every year. Last year, they did not get them all done, so they billed us this year. So the largest is the budget amendment is for $253,723 just to complete and pay for the drain improvements that that happened fiscal year last year, but was billed this year. So I'm really kind of proud that our board did that, that we're on our way to do a road improvement program as well. And then every year we do improvements for our infrastructure based on what the Washtenaw County Drain Commission decides on what needs to be approved, and then the Washtenaw County Road Commission. So we also have Yucca. They have which is our water and sewer department. They have an asset management plan as well. And we're trying to coordinate the road improvements with the water and sewer improvements so that you're not coming back and repairing the road after you pave it, which used to happen a lot, but we're getting a lot better at it. So it's really important to have our infrastructure because that's what everything's built upon, your home, your business, and your walkways. And Ypsilanti Township historically, and more since this board has been in here, has really invested in that, and I think it's great. It's a good use of tax dollars money. So we have a motion and support. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. These are authorization and bids, and they will come back to the board. Number 1 is a request to authorize to seek quotes for the Ypsilanti Township Sidewalk Annual Repair Program.
So moved.
Support.
Motion Eldridge, support Rowe to approve. All in favor?
Madam Chair, I'm sorry, I just have one comment. I know during the work session, we kind of talked about the length of the contract, and I didn't know if you wanted to consider, right now they're all listed as one-year contracts. We do these every year, and with a 2-year contract, we may be able to secure better pricing and, have more interest from contractors that they're not having to bid every year. So I didn't know if that was amendable to the board or if we wanted to discuss it.
I think it's a good idea to try it. We usually do it annually, and to try it, maybe we could get a contractor, like you said, that would bid for a 2-year contract versus a 1-year.
Yeah, and specifically when we get to the mulch one, they usually rotate the parks that are mulched, and so if it's a 2-year contract, it will allow one contractor to, see the whole plan as a whole and get half the parks 1 year and half the parks next year. So, is that amendable, Stan?
Yes.
Friendly amendment?
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 2 is a request to authorize to seek quotes for 2-year Ypsilanti Township Sidewalk Annual Replacement Program and shaving. Is this leveling of the sidewalks?
So moved.
Motion Eldridge. Support Swanson. And we discussed this in the work session as well. We did a pilot program, and it was in Apple Ridge and Bud and Blossom, where we shaved off the sidewalks instead of digging them up and repairing them. And it leveled it and made it much safer, and the residents really appreciated it. So we wanted to continue with doing that this year. We have a motion support. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 3 is a request to authorize to seek quotes for the Ypsilanti Township playground mulch installation for 2 years.
So move.
Support.
Motion Rowe, support Hunter. Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. There's no other business that comes before the board?
Motion to adjourn.
Support.
Motion Rowe, support Eldridge to adjourn at 7:36. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.